A former employee of Sean Diddy Combs, testifying under the pseudonym Mia, told jurors that he...
The lights dim at Madison Square Garden. 20,000 voices scream in unison. The bass drops, and out walks a man who transformed hip-hop from street corners to corporate boardrooms. Sean Diddy Combs, the architect of an empire worth nearly $1 billion, the mastermind who turned raw talent into platinum records, the mogul who made Can't Stop, Won't Stop more than a motto. It was a lifestyle.
I'm Sean Diddy Combs, proud owner of Ciroc Vodka.
But wait, what if I told you that same man now sits in a federal courthouse, his empire crumbling like a house of cards in a hurricane? What if the whispers that followed him for decades have become deafening testimonies echoing through marble halls of justice? Was Sean Diddy Combs the music legend who gave us Biggie, Mary J. Blige, and countless anthems that define generations? Or was he a puppet master orchestrating something far darker behind the velvet ropes and champagne toasts? By 2025, these aren't just questions anymore. They're accusations backed by federal prosecutors, tearful witnesses, and evidence that's making even his most loyal fans say, "Hold up, what?" From a $60 million lawsuit that exploded like a bomb in the entertainment world to federal charges that sound like they're ripped from a crime thriller. The stories pouring out about Diddy aren't just hard to ignore. They're reshaping everything we thought we knew about one of hip-hop's most powerful figures. Today, we're not just scratching the surface. We're diving deep into the controversies that have Hollywood insiders spilling tea, the rumors that turned into federal indictments, and the courtroom moments so intense that reporters are calling this the trial of the century. Buckle up, because this story starts with a lawsuit that didn't just change everything. It opened Pandora's box. The Cassie Ventura lawsuit, the match that lit the fire. November 16th, 2023. Remember that date, because that's when the music industry's biggest open secret became a legal bombshell that nobody saw coming. Or did they? Cassie Ventura wasn't just any artist. She was his artist, his muse, the woman whose ethereal voice on Me and You had millions singing along, not knowing the alleged nightmare behind the melody. For over a decade, she'd been by Diddy's side, on red carpets, in music videos, at those legendary white parties in the Hamptons, where champagne flowed like water and celebrities mingled until dawn. But according to her explosive $60 million lawsuit, behind those picture-perfect moments was a horror story that would make your skin crawl. Picture young Cassie, 19 years old, eyes full of dreams, signing with Bad Boy Records, thinking she'd hit the jackpot. Fast forward through the years, and her lawsuit painted a portrait of a woman trapped in a gilded cage. Physical abuse that left bruises makeup couldn't hide. Emotional manipulation so intense she couldn't tell where Diddy ended and she began. And then there were the freak-offs, a term that sounds almost playful until you hear what it allegedly meant. These weren't parties. According to the lawsuit, they were orchestrated sexual encounters, where Cassie claims she was forced to participate while Diddy watched, directed, and recorded. Can you imagine? The woman who sang about independence allegedly had none. The internet? It exploded. Twitter threads stretched longer than CVS receipts. TikTok detectives started connecting dots nobody wanted to see. Instagram comment sections became war zones. Some fans screamed, "There's no way Diddy would do this. This is a money grab." Others whispered what they'd been thinking for years.
What they're looking for, because it was going on the premises of...
Maybe there's more we don't know. Maybe there's always been more. But here's where it gets absolutely wild, and I mean wild. The lawsuit dropped on a Thursday. By Friday night, barely 24 hours later, it was settled. Done. Over. No details made public. No admission of guilt. Just silence. Think about that for a second. Most celebrity lawsuits drag on for years. Remember Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? That circus lasted longer than some relationships. But Cassie's earth-shattering allegations settled faster than Amazon Prime delivery. Why so fast? Online theories are flying faster than private jets. Some say it was to keep secrets buried deeper than Jimmy Hoffa. Others think it was just business, pay to make it go away. But conspiracy theorists? They're having a field day. What was in those recordings? They asked. What evidence made Diddy's lawyers say, write the check now? One anonymous music industry insider posted on Reddit, I've been in this game 20 years. Nobody settles that fast unless there's something nuclear they don't want coming out. The settlement might have ended the lawsuit, but it started something bigger. Other women started speaking up. Whispers became conversations. Conversations became investigations. And suddenly, Cassie's lawsuit wasn't just her story. It was the first domino in a chain reaction that would bring down an empire. But if you thought that was shocking, what came next would make those whispers sound like screams. The federal charges, when the empire strikes back. Imagine this scene. FBI agents in tactical gear surrounding a Manhattan hotel. Black SUVs blocking every exit. And inside, Sean Combs, probably in silk pajamas, worth more than most people's cars, getting the wake-up call that would end life as he knew it. The charges? Oh boy, they sound like they're straight out of The Sopranos meets Law and Order, SVU. Racketeering conspiracy. That's RICO, folks. The same law they use to take down mob bosses and cartel leaders. The kind of charge that makes even hardened criminals distance themselves in prison. Transportation for prostitution. Using his private jets and luxury cars, not for music videos, but for something allegedly far more sinister. Federal prosecutors didn't just throw charges, they painted a picture. And that picture? It looked less like a music mogul's portfolio and more like a criminal enterprise's blueprint. They described a man who allegedly used his empire, the record label, the parties, the lifestyle, as a front for something darker. A puppet master pulling strings, using power to control, intimidate, and exploit. The courtroom scene? Electric. Diddy, usually dressed in designer everything, now in a prison jumpsuit. The man who once rapped about MO money MO problems, now facing problems money couldn't solve. He pleaded not guilty, his voice steady, but his eyes telling a different story. But here's what's got everyone glued to this case, like it's the series finale of their favorite show. The witnesses. These aren't random people looking for 15 minutes of fame. These are insiders, former employees, people who saw behind the curtain of the great and powerful Oz. And what they're saying, it's making surviving R. Kelly look like a Disney documentary. The government's case reads like a thriller novel you can't put down. Allegations of abuse spanning decades. Claims of coercion that would make cult leaders take notes. Stories of intimidation involving everything from blackmail to, wait for it, arson. Yeah, you heard that right. They're saying Diddy didn't just burn bridges. He allegedly burned cars. His legal team. They're fighting like cornered lions. This is a witch hunt, they cry. They're trying to tear down a black man who built an empire. And honestly, in any other case, that defense might get traction. But when witness after witness steps forward with stories that match like puzzle pieces, when the evidence allegedly includes videos, texts, and recordings, the prosecution's opening statement dropped a line that had reporters frantically scribbling. This isn't about taking down a successful black entrepreneur. This is about stopping a predator who used his success as a weapon. Since his arrest, Diddy's been sitting in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. No champagne, no entourage, no bad boy for life playing in the background. Just concrete walls and a story that keeps getting darker with every court date. Denied bail 3 times. The judge basically said, this man has a private jet and properties in countries without extradition treaties. Do the math. But what really has everyone shook? The witnesses stepping forward, each one adding another layer to this nightmare Sunday. And one woman, known only as Mia, took the stand with a story so harrowing, so detailed, that even seasoned court reporters said they'd never heard anything like it. Mia's harrowing story, the testimony that silenced the courtroom. Close your eyes and imagine this. You're 23 years old, fresh out of college, your whole life ahead of you. And then you land the job, working for Sean freaking Combs. Your friends are jealous. Your parents are proud. You're thinking, this is it. This is my shot. Now open your eyes to Mia's reality. Standing in that courtroom, her voice trembling like autumn leaves, Mia painted a picture of hell dressed in designer labels. This wasn't the glamorous music industry life she dreamed of. This was a nightmare that would make Stephen King say, "Tone it down." "I thought I was lucky," she testified, her words barely above a whisper but hitting like thunder. "I thought I'd won the lottery." Instead, she'd entered what prosecutors called a toxic ecosystem of exploitation. The work schedule alone was insane. We're not talking about long hours. We're talking about slavery with a salary. Mia described working around the clock, literally. 5 days without sleep. 5 days. Let that sink in. Navy SEALs and training don't go that long without rest. But in Diddy's world, she testified it was just another week. "How did you stay awake?" the prosecutor asked. "Adderall," Mia replied. "Sometimes crushed up in Red Bull. Sometimes just handfuls of pills. Whatever it took to keep standing." The courtroom gasped. But that was just the appetizer in this feast of horror. Mia's testimony about it was the kind of raw, painful truth that makes you want to look away, but can't. She described Diddy's 40th birthday party, an event that made headlines for its star-studded guest list and million-dollar price tag. But behind the scenes, he kept giving me shots, Mia testified, her hands gripping the witness stand. Said I needed to loosen up. The room started spinning. Colors got weird. Then I was in the hotel kitchen, and he was... She couldn't finish. She didn't need to. Another night. Beverly Grove Mansion. Mia waking up to a nightmare. "I thought I was dreaming," she said. "A bad dream. But the weight on top of me was real. His breath was real. The fear was real." Each word landed like a hammer blow. Jurors leaning forward, some covering their mouths. The court artist's hand shaking as she sketched. But here's what makes Mia's testimony even more powerful: the details. The little things that liars don't think of. She remembered the songs playing, the smell of his cologne, the way her phone buzzed with work messages, even as she lay there, frozen in trauma. "Why didn't you quit?" the defense attorney asked, trying to poke holes in her story. Mia's answer, it revealed the invisible chains that kept her bound. Quit? And do what? He controlled everything. He knew everyone. One word from him, and I'd never work in entertainment again, or any industry. He'd tell people I was a thief, a liar crazy. He'd done it before to others. We all knew the stories. The prosecutor pulled up text messages, emails, Mia begging for time off to attend her grandmother's funeral. Denied. Mia asking for a single day to recover from what she called an incident, told to stop being dramatic. One text exchange had the courtroom in stunned silence. "Mia, I need help. This isn't right. Colleague, just keep your head down. It's Diddy. What are you gonna do?" That colleague, also testifying for the prosecution. But perhaps the most chilling part of Mia's testimony was when she described the culture of fear. "We all knew," she said. "The assistants, the stylists, the security. We had a WhatsApp group where we'd warn each other about his moods. Code red meant stay away. Code black meant someone was about to get fired, or worse." The prosecution showed the jury screenshots. Messages like, "He's in the studio throwing things. Avoid. Just saw him slam Cassie against the wall. Pretending I didn't. If he asks where I am, say I'm getting his lunch. I'm hiding in my car." This wasn't just a bad boss. This was systematic, calculated, a reign of terror dressed in Versace. When asked how this affected her, Mia's composure finally cracked. "I can't sleep without pills. I can't be in rooms with closed doors. I see his face in strangers. I'm 31 years old, and I feel like I died at 23. He didn't just assault my body. He murdered my soul." The defense tried to paint her as a disgruntled employee, a gold digger, a woman scorned. But with each question, Mia's truth only shone brighter. When they asked why she stayed so long, she had one word: survival. As her testimony ended, you could hear a pin drop. Even the court officers looked shaken. And if you thought Mia's story was intense, wait until you hear how Diddy allegedly controlled every breath Cassie took. Controlling Cassie's world, the puppet master's strings. You know what's worse than a controlling boyfriend? A controlling boyfriend who's also your boss, your landlord, your career maker and breaker. That's the picture witnesses painted of Diddy's relationship with Cassie. And folks, this picture belongs in a horror museum. Stylist Deontay Nash took the stand looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Getting a root canal, fighting a bear, literally anywhere but that witness chair. But what he revealed, it turned Cassie from Diddy's girlfriend into Diddy's prisoner. He had final say on everything. Deontay testified. Her music, her movie roles, what she wore, who she talked to. I once suggested a hairstyle change, just highlights. And he called me screaming for 20 minutes about how I was trying to ruin his woman. Think about that. Highlights caused a 20-minute meltdown. But it gets deeper, way deeper. Mia corroborated every controlling detail, adding layers that made jurors' jaws drop. He had passwords to all her accounts, she testified. Email, Instagram, bank accounts. He checked them daily, sometimes hourly. She couldn't post a selfie without his approval. The prosecution presented evidence that made controlling seem like an understatement. Text messages where Cassie had to report her location every 30 minutes. Contracts for her music that gave Diddy not just creative control, but personal control. Clauses that basically said he owned her voice, literally and figuratively. One text exchange displayed on the courtroom screens. Cassie, can I go to lunch with my mom? Diddy, where? Who else will be there? What will you wear? Send pics of 3 outfit options. Cassie, just my mom. Olive Garden. Diddy, Olive Garden? You representing bad boy at Olive Garden? No, I'll send Claude with sushi to the house. The control was so complete that multiple witnesses described Cassie as a ghost of herself. But nowhere was this more evident than at the 2012 Cannes Film Festival, an event that should have been Cassie's shining moment. Picture it, the French Riviera. Cameras flashing like lightning. The world's most beautiful people in their most beautiful clothes. And Cassie, she looked flawless. Her smile bright, her dress stunning, her presence magnetic. But Mia knew the truth, and what she revealed had the courtroom gasping. I spent 3 hours that morning, Mia testified, her voice heavy with memory. 3 hours covering bruises, a busted lip, fingerprints on her arms. I'm a makeup artist, not a magician, but I had to be both. The prosecution showed photos, the glamorous red carpet shots everyone saw. Then, enhanced photos showing what trained eyes could spot. The slightly swollen lip, the strategic placement of jewelry covering wrist bruises, the way Cassie held herself to avoid putting pressure on injured ribs. She was in so much pain, Mia continued. Every smile hurt, but he was right there, hand on her back, whispering in her ear. To everyone else, it looked romantic. To those of us who knew, he was giving orders. Smile bigger, stand straighter, stop wincing. Deontay's corroborating testimony was equally chilling. He showed texts from Cassie during that trip. Cassie, help. He's losing it. Thinks I looked at a photographer too long. Deontay, where are you? Cassie, hotel bathroom. He's pounding on door. Please come up with some fashion emergency. Deontay, on my way. Say your dress ripped. I became an expert at creating emergencies, Deontay admitted. Wardrobe malfunctions, missing jewelry, urgent calls from stylists. Anything to give her a break from him. But perhaps the most damning evidence of control came from Cassie's own music, or lack thereof. Prosecution presented a timeline that had music industry insiders shaking their heads. 2006, Me and You becomes a global hit. 2007 to 2012, Cassie records over 100 songs. Released? Less than 15. Why? The prosecutor asked Mia. Control, she answered simply. He'd let her record to keep her hoping, then shelve everything. Said nothing was good enough. Really? He just didn't want her successful enough to leave. Witnesses described studio sessions where Diddy would make Cassie record the same line 50, 60, even 100 times. Not for perfection, for exhaustion, for breaking her spirit. He'd sit in the control room like a king. One studio engineer testified, making her sing until she cried. Then he'd say, "Now you sound vulnerable. Let's record." The control extended to every corner of her life. Witnesses testified about Diddy choosing her friends and eliminating ones he didn't like, monitoring her food intake, she's looking thick, cut her meals in half, dictating her schedule down to bathroom breaks, installing tracking apps on all her devices, having security report her every movement. One particularly haunting piece of evidence, a contract Cassie signed for a film role. In the margins, Diddy's handwritten notes. No kissing scenes. No romance. No scenes alone with male actors. Character must die by end of film. The movie? She never got to make it. He decided it would give her too much independence. But all this control, all this manipulation, it had cracks. And one night at a music legends party, those cracks exploded into chaos that had witnesses running for their lives. The Prince Party chaos, when the Purple Kingdom became a war zone. You ever have one of those moments where you're having the time of your life, and then BM, everything goes sideways faster than a Tokyo Drift race? That's exactly what happened at Prince's house. And when Prince's party goes bad, you know some biblical level drama went down. Picture this scene that Mia painted with her testimony. It's like something out of a movie you can't believe is real. It's 2009. Prince, the Purple One himself, throwing one of his legendary house parties. We're talking about gatherings so exclusive that celebrities beg for invites, where musical gods jam until sunrise, where the champagne costs more than car payments and the vibe is pure magic. Mia and Cassie, they're at a hotel, feeling like teenagers plotting to sneak out after curfew. We were literally debating like kids, Mia testified, a sad smile crossing her face. Cassie was like, he's with his family. He won't know. I was scared, but, God, she looked so happy at the thought of just having fun, just being normal for one night. They made their escape like secret agents, changed cars twice, turned off their phones. Cassie even wore a wig, blonde, can you imagine? Just to avoid being recognized. All this just to attend a party. Let that sink in. This wasn't sneaking into North Korea. This was going to Prince's house. And for a moment, it was everything. Mia described the scene. Prince was at the piano, just playing. Cassie was dancing, really dancing. Not that stiff stuff she did when Diddy watched. She looked free. I hadn't seen her that happy in years. But freedom? In Diddy's world? That was the ultimate sin. I saw him before he saw us, Mia testified, her voice dropping to almost a whisper, walking through Prince's foyer like he owned the place. The room didn't get quiet, it got silent. Even Prince stopped playing. The eye contact Mia described? Like looking at death. Not metaphorically. Like death knocked on the door and came to collect. What happened next was chaos in its purest form. Witnesses, A-list witnesses whose names are sealed by the court, corroborated every horrifying detail. Cassie tried to run, just turned and ran, in heels, through Prince's mansion, past priceless art and shocked celebrities. Diddy? He chased her like a man possessed. They went through the kitchen, out the back, into the gardens. Mia continued. I followed, trying to help, but also terrified. Other people were screaming. Security was confused. Was this a real threat or relationship drama? The garden scene? This is where it gets truly dark. He caught her by the fountain, Mia testified. Tackled her. On the ground. Her dress ripped. She was screaming. He had his hand raised and... This is when Prince's security finally intervened. Prince's security. Think about that. The Purple One's own bodyguards had to stop a guest from potentially killing another guest. One witness, identified only as celebrity in court documents, testified. I've been to wild parties. I've seen drama. But this was attempted murder at a music icon's house. Prince looked like he wanted to call an exorcist. But here's where it gets really messed up, the aftermath. Mia, suspended without pay the next day. Her crime? Endangering Mr. Combs' reputation. He called me at 6 a.m., Mia testified. Said I was a cancer in his organization, that I corrupted Cassie, that I was lucky he didn't have me handled. I knew what handled meant. We all did. The suspension lasted 3 weeks. 3 weeks of no pay, no contact with Cassie, and daily threatening calls from Diddy's associates. Mia played one voicemail for the court. You think you're safe? You ain't safe. Boss man got eyes everywhere. You better pray Cassie learns a lesson, or you'll learn yours. But Cassie's lesson? That was even worse. Multiple witnesses testified she didn't leave Diddy's house for 2 weeks after the Prince incident. When she finally emerged, different person. Deontay Nash testified, like someone had deleted her personality and uploaded a robot. She'd apologized for breathing too loud. Prince's party became legend in the industry, but not the good kind. It was the night everyone saw the monster behind the mogul. One music executive testified. After that, people stopped inviting them places together. Not because of Cassie, because nobody wanted to be responsible for whatever Diddy might do. Prince himself, he never spoke publicly about that night, but sources close to him say he banned Diddy from his properties and told friends, there's dark energy, and then there's whatever that man carries. The prosecution used this incident to establish a pattern: Diddy's violent jealousy, his need for absolute control, his willingness to humiliate and harm in public. If he'd do this at Prince's house, with witnesses everywhere, what did he do in private? And speaking of jealous rage, what allegedly happened to Kid Cudi's car makes the Prince party look like a peaceful meditation session. Kid Cudi's car and the break-in, when jealousy allegedly became arson. December 2011, Los Angeles. The City of Angels was about to witness something demonic. Kid Cudi, innovative artist, fashion icon, and apparently Cassie's friend, woke up to a scene from a nightmare. His home, broken into. His car, a charred skeleton in his driveway, looking like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie. Now LA's got crime. Break-ins happen. But this had a signature. And according to Mia's testimony, that signature was written in Diddy's rage. That day was different. Mia testified, her eyes distant, reliving the memory. I'd seen him angry. Lord knows I'd seen him angry. But this was darkness, like someone had turned off his humanity switch. The setting, Diddy's Los Angeles compound, a fortress of luxury where, according to Mia, the mood was apocalyptic. He found out Cassie had been texting Cudi, Mia explained. Not sexting, not flirting, just texting. About music, about art, normal things friends talk about. But in Diddy's mind, she might as well have been planning their wedding. Mia described a man transformed by jealousy, pacing like a caged animal, breaking things, expensive things, a Basquiat painting, a Grammy Award, a platinum plaque. He wasn't just mad, she testified. He was calculating, planning. That's what scared me most. The email Mia sent to a colleague that day, the prosecution displayed it for everyone to see. Subject, bad feeling. I'm scared, really scared. Boss is in that mood. The last time I saw him like this, that photographer ended up in the hospital. If something happens, remember this email. He keeps saying Cudi gonna learn. I think something bad is coming. Kid Cudi's car fire? Reported at 11:23 p.m. the same night. I wasn't there when it happened, Mia clarified. But when news broke the next morning, Diddy's reaction told me everything. He was happy, genuinely happy. First time I'd seen him smile in days. The prosecution presented text messages from that morning. Associate, you see the news about Cudi? Diddy, karma's real. Fire. Associate, that's wild. His car just exploded. Diddy, sometimes the universe sends messages. He got his. But here's where it gets really interesting. Other witnesses started connecting dots. Security footage from a gas station showing Diddy's associate buying multiple gas cans hours before the fire. Phone records placing several of Diddy's crew near Cudi's house that night. A witness who saw men in black hoodies near Cudi's property but was too scared to call police.